Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, agents. I'm Mountie, and this is a Division Let's Talk and part 2 of our email response. Tonight, we will get our first state of the game from Massive in a few weeks, and you will be surely surprised that I will have a response video for you tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow, probably around this time or some other time, for that video. Now, I'm going to surprise a few of you once again, but the email written previously in part 1 and part 2, written by Angelo, is actually written from a different perspective than you might think. I know that the title says Rogue Response, and that was really just to garner the opinion of what was going on. And Angelo has actually never gone rogue. He sent me a screenshot of his rogue playtime, and it's true. He is either really great at Photoshop or he has truly never gone rogue. This email has written from the perspective of someone who has never gone rogue. Of course, he is only level 23 in the screenshot as well, so his time in the DZ is very limited because most people who have played in the DZ are level 99 to truly understand the plight of the rogue. Level 23 is not very high, and I think that is somewhere around maybe a few hours in the DZ. I was level 20 within the first 2 hours and level 40 within 5, so who knows what is really going on there, or has Angelo really spent enough time in the DZ to fully understand the levity of what is going on in there. So let's go ahead and finish up the email. Keep in mind, too, that a lot of players go into the DZ that are way too weak and try to go up against players that are maxed out or try to go into DZ 5 and 6 and die every time. You would not go into a heroic incursion undergeared, as you would get wrecked. So why do these solo players try to do it in the DZ? Don't rush, gear up, and you will do fine. This is why I think more brackets is the answer than to start removing stuff from the game. I agree. People in the DZ go in because they need gear, though. There is a conditioning that the division has done, and I'll explain that a little bit later, but there's a consistency. But things changed between 1.2. This is not the same game. Nobody is playing the same game that we played in 1.0. 1.1, different game. 1.2 changed that even more. 1.3 changed it completely. But it's the rogues that prey upon those who are undergeared, and right now, undergeared is not hard to go into the DZ with. You have to, you can be all level 20, 268 gear and still be undergeared, because even at 268, level 33 and level 34 NPCs are pretty difficult for someone to solo. So if you go in with a group of 4, you should be fine. But if you're going in by yourself and you're going solo, that's the problem. And the rogues are coming down from DZ 5 or 6, and all of them are level 99. They should have no problem up in DZ 5 or 6 getting the gear. But it's much easier to go after someone who has already gone through and picked off all the clean stuff and wants to extract, and there you have it. You have free gear for everybody. So the people that do all the hard work, the rogues come in and they freeload off of them, and that's also part of the problem. I know there's some issues about maxed ranked players ganking fresh DZ 1-2 players. Again, I don't agree with this, but if we had better bracket system, these maxed out player and these lower fresh player would never see each other, unless, of course, they are ranked equally. If there was a better way to rank a player and put them in the right bracket, then it would solve the main issue. That would make everyone equal in the server they are running in. So this is actually a really great idea, and one of the reasons why I'm reading this in the video to you and responding. This suggestion is one of the best so far out of a lot of people, and that is, if you gank people and go rogue too many times, you get put into the rogue bracket. Rogues don't want PvE servers. Fine, they don't want other things, but if we do put all of the gankers who continually go rogue and manhunt into their own server, I think we can all agree that it would end up being a much nicer place. We don't even have to tell them that they're in the different server group. It would be similar to the GTA cheater lobby. I am not against this idea at all. Put all the rogues who get over a certain amount of kills into their own server with other rogues. We can call it the Aaron Keener disastrous attempt at taking over the Dark Zone server or something like that. But let's just go ahead and separate them out. If you go rogue and you've killed amassed more than, say, 20 kills, kills, then you get to go into your own server. You get a special server just for rogues and let the rogues fight out. It'll be like a rogue arena, and it'll be like a rite of passage. You killed so many people, you got your own server. Congratulations. That is a great idea. Oh, and just so you know, I am not ranked 99 player in the DZ. In fact, I'm pretty low level 35. I've died a lot, and also have won a lot. Does it suck getting ganked by those bad apples in the game? Sure, but what game doesn't have trolls in it? To be clear though, when I die by these players, I don't run back and face tank them. I stop and think how to play them to get my gear back. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but that's the way the game is and how the DZ is. It's not supposed to be a friendly place. I've never gone rogue yet, but I am looking forward to giving it a go soon. It's hard to be on one side and move to the next. There are people who can do it, and there are people who can't. I've run into perfectly cool people who, they're in there to go rogue. They're specializing in going rogue, and they're cool about it because they're people that just, they go, they kill you, and then they leave. They don't continually go back, but they do it to people who are in their own class of skill and gear. They aren't going down to level 1, 2, they're in 5 and 6. They aren't down in the DZ1 waiting at the checkpoint for people to walk in. If you go back through my video, you can actually find me talking to a few of them as well. You got to make a choice to go rogue. There isn't I'll try it out and everything will be fine, because once you go rogue, people look at you differently, and now you are in a server where you are known for going rogue, and people will not trust you, people will not team up with you. It's just like that. You are now known as the person that went rogue and killed them. So there's a distrust there that you just built by going rogue. I'm pretty happy with my build. I run a tactician build, and before you think that I am some typical tactician build, I am not. I built it in a way the game wanted me to, so I think firearms at 3000 stamina, at around 3600 stamina, and skill at 30,000. I've gotten all of my gear from the underground in just a couple incursions. Never got tacticians from DZ yet. So for those solo players that think the DZ is the only place to get gear, they're nuts. I have almost every greatest 268 pieces doing nothing but UG. Hell, I don't even have done the Dragon's Nest on hard, so I have gotten gear from there. Oh, also forgot HVT as well, weeklies only. I have gotten plenty of non-Lone Star gear. This is a good point. See, there are those of us who have been playing since day one. We have gone through the paces and shared in the victories and defeats. In 1.1, we got our gear from crafting. That's a given. Most of us went and crafted, but there were only high ends. There was no gear sets yet. In 1.1, we got our gear from glitching. Sure, yeah, we all know about the glitches and stuff like that, and those who geared up, we geared up from glitching. In 1.2, we got our gear from Clear Sky and the Dark Zone because that's the easiest way. They made it super simple to go into Clear Sky. They made it super simple to go into the Dark Zone and farm for gear. We got leveled up super fast. And in 1.3, we got geared up from the Underground and the Four Horsemen. You see, it's a matter of consistency. The game has changed so much because people find the ways to get gear faster. And what happens is Massive looks at how people are getting their gear and they change it every single patch. People find ways to get gear faster because Massive continues to change the way we get gear because we get it too fast, and in doing so, Massive has destroyed their own game by trying to fix people and trying to time box them into getting gear at the speed that Massive wants you to get gear. That is the reason why this game is going into the crapper, is because Massive continually tries to fix it based on how they see us playing the game and how they want us to play it, not the way the game is being played. People want to rank up way too quickly and not put in the work. I agree and disagree. People want to rank up quickly, yes, but they are, for the most part, willing to put in the work. But the work needs to be fun. This game, and it also needs to be rewarding. This game has elements that are fun, but if the game was fun, you wouldn't need to exploit, you wouldn't need to glitch and cheat your way to get quick gear. That's the simple fact of it. You would enjoy going through the content. There are a couple of patches like 1.2 where it was easy to get gear through a variety of methods, and it was fun and easy. There was no reason to go through and glitch and do all this. I couldn't understand why people were trying to exploit Clear Sky. It was so easy to already go through it that there was no reason to go through and glitch it except for going solo. But then in 1.3 came out, and once again they changed how we played the game. They gotta learn to leave well enough alone. No way asked for them to raise the Dark Zone to unfun levels of BS. They did it because they thought it would slow progression, and it did. It slowed it to the point where people no longer found it fun to play the game, and people left, ultimately destroying the progression of the game. It became a slog. You can actually look that word up. I actually don't know where I got it from, but slog is what I feel this game has turned into. If you don't know what slog means, you'll use it all the time. It's actually a really cool word. I use it in a lot of my videos if you ever watch them. I don't know where I picked it up. I'm sure I picked it up from somebody while I was watching their videos or I was playing the game. There is very little fun to be had, and people are doing the one thing that makes it feel like it's fun, and that is farming the 4 horsemen. And sure, some of these glitches are really boring, but there is an inherent challenge to actually farming the 4 horsemen, and that is really where the fun comes in. I enjoy the heroic difficulty in the underground because it's fun. It provides teamwork, and so there are just, it's really, there's just so much there that needs to go through, and there's a lot of fun waiting to be had. It just needs to stop being changed all the time because we're getting gear too fast. And this is what's going to happen. The 4 horsemen farm, that's going to get changed eventually because you're getting the gear too fast, and they're going to stop that because that's the way it is. That's just the way it is. I know I called for a fix in my last video or the last 2 videos, but in all honesty, they're going to fix it anyways because you're getting the gear too fast. They can say it's okay now. It will be fixed. Trust me. They're not going to let you get gear that fast and keep doing it over and over again, especially not when 1.4 comes out and you can just go through and get tons of gear by doing that. Stop trying to take the easy way, going into the DZ when you're too weak, and play the game till you get some better gear to go into the DZ. You will quickly see how the tables will turn once you have better gear. For those that don't have the amount of time to put in to get the gear, then that brings me to having more brackets to place players correctly. You see, I would agree with you if the gear was the issue, but it's more than that. Gear is just a symptom. Taking away the gear and the abilities and making everyone equal will only remove the fun for rogues, who could dominate servers griefing people. Everyone else would go back to enjoying the game. If Massive wants to bring people back and force them into the Dark Zone, which they are, this is the necessary step that they need to take. And if it removes the rogue population because of it, then I would fully endorse it, even more because it would be the players who want to play the game for fun, earn the gear, and have some actual PvP fights. It wouldn't just be people running up and ganking. There wouldn't be these little kitties running around going, hee hee hee, I talked to you, and stuff like that. Believe me, I've had enough people do that, so I can tell you honestly that I probably could have gone into the DZ a long time ago and been fine, but I waited to get better gear for the bracket I was going to be placed in. People need to stop thinking they're Rambo and use strategy to win. I've seen you play with your squad, and you guys work together well. For solo players, they just need to be more shadow-like, if that makes sense in the DZ. Hide, take cover, make distance, try to figure out your enemy's next move, and stop trying to face tank everyone. Sorry for the long personal and private email, but I just wanted to give my 2 cents on this and tell you not everyone as a solo player is unhappy. I love the game, and I just wanted to give you another look at it and think about. Sure, there are problems that need to be fixed in the game that I won't get into, like bugs and stuff, but when it comes down to the DZ, try to remember that a lot of these players don't want to change their playstyle for every situation they are up against. Once people start thinking and adjusting to how to outplay their enemy, they will start winning more. For those that are being outgeared and outplayed, well, as I said, we need more brackets and better placing. So first, thank you so much, Angelo, because your email was great. Thank you for sending it to me. I've actually taken out a few things because I don't want to, Angelo sent some personal information over, so I don't want to put that in the email. But to answer your last question, I have gone into the road, and I'm properly geared. I'm good to go. I don't need, a lot of what I have is, Reclaimer and Sentry and Deadeye and stuff like that. I actually have, and I don't know what happened to it, but I have footage of three rogues running around a tree while 8 people shoot them. and not doing a single bit of damage to them. That is not being outgeared. We're all heavily geared, yet there are 3 people running around a tree and not being able to be killed. That is the problem, is that there are gear sets and gear and ways to make it so that you don't ever die. You can get it so that you can have just a constant stream of skill power. You can have high toughness. I've seen 800,000 toughness and 52,000 skill power with 0 DPS, or well, close to 0 DPS, and that makes you almost unstoppable. You just constantly heal and you can just shoot people, and sure, you're not going to get very many kills with that, but you're going to keep doing it. And, thank you once again. Thank you, Angela. This email was great. And Angelo wasn't actually anticipating me making this email public. And I talked to him about it and I took a few things out. But at the end of the day, he's not 100% wrong. There are people who enjoy the game still. People that think that there's nothing wrong with the game. I enjoy the game still, even with all the problems. I personally avoid the areas where I feel the game is broken, like the Dark Zone, like a Heroic Mission, and it makes the game enjoyable for me. And to never play those areas ever again. I don't feel like I need to go into the Dark Zone. It's sad that the endgame content, I can skip some of what should be the best parts of the game and not have to worry about them. However, the game has been iterated on so many times, it's just sad to see it being torn apart from the ground up. It's been months since I've gone into the Dark Zone. It's been even longer since I've done a Heroic Mission. Let me tell you why inconsistencies piss me off, and this is part of the reason why I won't do Heroic Missions. Heroic Missions, the fun part of the game. This should be the best part. You're going through, you're doing missions with your friends, you're getting rewards. Heroic Missions drop 240 gear. That's it. The highest level in the game for the mission, and it drops 240 gear. Heroic Underground drops 268. Heroic Mission, 240. You see what the problem is. This is the issue. You made something intended for the end game and then hand out subpar rewards for the completion of it. That's the problem. You can't keep your game consistent across everything, and every time the game gets updated, the fundamentals of how the game is played change, and you people have to learn the new way to go about doing things. Then you change them again because people find ways to get loot faster. The cycle never settles because you have so many bugs and exploits that you aren't sure which ones to fix, so you just fix the ones that benefit the player the most, making players look for new exploits time and time again. It's garbage. You guys need to just fix the game and not just look at what's benefiting the players. Look at the entire game. Look at what the community is complaining about. Look at those things. Look at the solo experience. Look at there's so many areas of this game right now that are broken that you guys need to fix, and that is the problem. 1.4 is right around the corner, and I can't understand or even fathom the ways you guys are going to put that out. It's going to be great on the first day, and then after a week we're going to find all of the crap that you swept under the carpet because you didn't want to fix it, and you wanted to put out a game on time. Let me tell you this. From my experience in the game industry, very few games come out on time and on budget. And this is experience, I've put out 1 or 2 games that have come out on time and on budget because of using different methodologies. But those games were riddled with bugs. And I feel like these days, a lot of developers use day one patches as a crutch, and they don't want to fix it. They feel like they can just release the game as is and do a bunch of fixes by the time it's going in for certification. I understand this because a game I worked on back before there was day one patches had a bug in it that would stop the user from finishing the game, and it sucked. And the choice came down as, are we going to make $1 million or are we going to make $500,000 by releasing the game later? And the choice is that the game was released, and I'm not going to tell you what game it is because it's still out on the market. It's not for any game system that's out currently. It's for a Dreamcast game, and I doubt I'd get in trouble for naming it, but I love the game. Actually, I'm not gonna say what the game is because I actually like the game, and it took a little bit of work to actually get the crash bug to happen. But if it happened every time, and you actually couldn't finish the game if it did. But the developer chose. It came down to me. I chose to let it go out, but the developer chose to let it go out as well. And their decision was, okay, if anybody finds this, we'll replace it with a new CD. that they can use. And this was for the Dreamcast. I'll just say that. It was for the Dreamcast, so if you ever found it, it was an RPG for the Dreamcast, one of the better RPGs for it. And the thing is, and I don't remember what the developer's name was. I don't even know if they're in business anymore. But to be honest, they made that choice. And a lot of developers are making that choice these days. They're making the mistake of sending over the game to certification at Microsoft, to Sony, to whoever does the PC stuff at Steam or whatever it is, and they're doing that, and then they're fixing bugs from the time they send it over to certification and their time to going through. And part of this is Microsoft and Sony's fault, because they're not holding these people to the fire, and they're allowing them to put out day one patches that are subpar, and they're not fixing everything, they're not addressing everything. And I hate to call Microsoft and Sony out, but you guys need to do a better job. Your QA needs to do a better job of saying, no, you guys can't put this game out. Like, that's just what it comes down to. There's a responsibility. There's a reason why there's a certification process when you go through a third-party test system. You know, I know that it's changed a lot over the years from CDs from when I was game testing, but the truth of the matter is that it's still the same certification process. You're still looking at the standards of what game development is, and when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, you're responsible for the game that's coming out. Massive is not 100% responsible for this. Ubisoft takes a responsible part. Microsoft and Sony take responsible parts because they're letting these bugs through. That's the problem, is that there are 3 layers that this has to go through. It's going through Massive QA, Ubisoft QA, and Microsoft and Sony QA. That's a lot of QA to go through, and I know that it's not millions upon millions of players to find all these bugs, but like No Man's Sky, look at this. There are tons of crashes everywhere in this game. Hundreds of crashes. I can't play the game for more than a few hours without it crashing. And I've found 100% repetition crashes. I found warp crashes where I go through a black hole and it crashes. This is stuff that should not be happening. This is stuff that should not be going out into the public. Sony needs to say, this is not right. You need to delay the game. And I know it pisses a lot of the public off, but I'd rather be pissed off and have to wait an extra 2 weeks than to go through this and have to be pissed off that the developer made a piss poor choice to release a game with bugs. So that's my time. Thank you all for watching. I know this is a much longer video than normal. We're at 21 minutes or plus. Please drop a like on this video and consider subscribing for all the wonderful Division content. We'll be here until they close the doors or shut off the lights or whatever they're going to do at Massive. Thank you all for those who send me emails. I read every single one of them, and while I may not be able to respond to all of them, I try to, and in time I may respond to yours, so just keep looking at your email inbox. I have your email sitting there. Just give me a bit of time. For all of those of us here at the Division Let's Talk, I'm Mountie Carl, and we'll see you in the underground. Agent out.